Late season focus is critical for Ohio State. The Buckeyes must stay disciplined, execute at a high level, and avoid distractions in Saturday night's clash with UCLA.
You are Locked On Buckeyes, your daily podcast on the Ohio State Buckeyes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome in, Buckeye fans, to your Feel Good Friday edition of Locked On Buckeyes, which is your daily Ohio State podcast for the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Jay Stevens, veteran sports talk host, delivering passionate coverage about your Buckeyes. And during today's show, I will unveil my score prediction for tomorrow's game, as well as discuss if it's wise for Ohio State to make personnel changes this late in the season. But first, tomorrow's game against UCLA is similar to every other game Ohio State has played this year. It's about the Buckeyes. From Ryan Day to the assistant coaches and everybody that's playing tomorrow, it's about the guys in that locker room no matter what. UCLA is talented. They have turned things around, and after firing their head coach, they got some new life, and they got some revitalized players, and it showed up in big ways on the field. But regardless of what UCLA has done, that doesn't take away from what Ohio State must do in the game. Not only win the game and win it comfortably, but also you must ramp up and be the type of team late in the season that continues to play lights out, control games, and make sure there is no doubt that you are the best team in the country, because that's what Ohio State currently is. And there are people out there that are naysayers. There are people out there that are trying to doubt what you're seeing with your own eyes every single college football Saturday. Don't try to deny it. Ohio State's the best team in the country, and as long as they execute at a high level, avoid distractions, and stay laser focused, they'll show everybody once again that they are the best of the bunch. And it's hard late in the year to stay laser focused. Think about it. The Buckeyes' first game was Labor Day weekend. Think about what has happened in your life between now and that point in the year. Then think about what's going to happen now between now and the Michigan game, Thanksgiving week. I was really looking at my schedule recently and thinking about that week specifically. There's a Buckeye basketball game. There's Ohio State football. There's high school basketball. There's multiple family events. There's a friend event in there. I'm overbooked. I've never booked like this, but that's just a busy week. And that's me. Think about these athletes. They got family. They got friends. They have media. They have their own responsibilities personally. It is the biggest game of the season that weekend. And then you think about what's going to happen after that. In December, you select Ohio State to play in the Big Ten title game. Thinking past that, there are potentially multiple games that Ohio State will play in the college football playoff. The season is long. The grind is real. And when UCLA comes in and you want to say, oh, it's just Nico from last year. No, this is Nico that's mature, that has gotten better, that has learned from his mistakes, that has a lot of weapons on the outside, and it's a guy that's ready to come into Ohio State and take down the Buckeyes. But this game, like I mentioned earlier, it's about Ohio State not only staying laser focused, but remembering you haven't won anything and allowing that to fuel you. And Ryan Day spoke on that very thing, that Ohio State really hasn't won anything yet, and other players like Edric Houston are buying into what Ryan Day is preaching, and that's adding to how hungry this team is to win a national title. Quote, the thing we got to understand, players, coaches, everybody, how exact, how on point we have to be. That's every week. The teams that we're playing now and the teams that we're playing in the future, we got to be good. It's going to take everything we got to get there. We've done nothing. None of that has anything to do with moving forward, end quote. Now, you think about where Ohio State currently is. They're 9-0. They're the number one team in the AP coaches polls and the college football playoff rankings. They've done a lot of great things. If you look around and think about all the national analysts and some local analysts, there's almost a consensus by almost all of them, not all, but the majority of them will say that Ohio State is the best team in the country. That's great. That's a great title to have at this point in November. But you ain't won nothing yet. Speaking about being laser focused, you can hear that and say, oh, we haven't won anything, but we're undefeated and born to the country. We've won something. Literally, no, you haven't won anything. You haven't done the things that you came to do. Yes, you've won the games, but you haven't played your biggest rival. You haven't won the conference. You haven't won the national title. So in reality, you haven't done anything. And when you let that sink in for a little bit, there are a lot of players, a lot of athletes that will hear that and say, man, I'm going to fold up, man, because I've done a lot. I've worked hard. I've been dinged up. I've seen guys go off the field via concussions and things of that nature. And all of a sudden, you go sit up here and tell me that we haven't done anything? No, you haven't done anything. And let that be the thing that adds fuel to your own fire to make sure that you accomplish what you set out to accomplish this year. Yes, UCLA is good. There's a reason why also Ohio State is 30-plus point favorites in this game, because Ohio State is head and shoulders better. But even in this game, you can exert your will, stay focused, laser focused all game long, impose the mindset you need to have, not just in this game, but against the big boy teams in college football. Because if you start doing it now, it's going to help you when Thanksgiving weekend. It's going to help you the following weekend in the Big Ten title game. It'll help you in the playoff because you are going to have a locked-in mindset for months, and you are not able to turn that thing off. And when you get to those big games where there are a lot more distractions, you are laser focused. One thing Brian Smith of the Portal podcast right here at the Locked On Podcast Network said about Jeremiah Smith is that when he was at different recruiting camps and Jeremiah Smith was there working out and competing, Brian Smith could be right behind him. Jeremiah Smith wouldn't see anything. He is laser focused. You go walk by him, and as Brian says, you can say boo. Jeremiah Smith wouldn't budge because he's locked in completely to what the task is. Many of you are LeBron James fans. And LeBron in the playoffs used to have the 0 dark 30. He goes on social media. And when he does that, you know what's about to happen. You know when you get into the playoffs, there are certain guys you play, you know they're going to bring their best. And there's nothing you're going to be able to do to stop them. Last year in the finals, in the NBA playoffs in general, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, my goodness. Talk about a phenomenal mid-range game. I'm a Pacers fan. I'm sitting here watching this guy play in the mid-range, and I'm thinking there's nothing the Pacers can do to stop him. Nothing. Nothing at all. But what did you find? In the playoffs, he was so laser-focused that it didn't matter what was going on. All the distractions going to a Game 7 and everything that happened in that entire series, nothing changed in regards to his focus in his mission in that series. And that same thing goes for Ohio State. You can look at the numbers about UCLA's team and see, well, they're strong here, they're weak here. Oh, man, they're really weak here. Don't worry about all that stuff. Yeah, it's a part of the scouting report. It needs to be a part of your scouting report. But also what needs to be what needs to be in the scouting report is how you attack them and how you raise your level of play while staying laser focused to accomplish your goals. Saturday's game against UCLA is not about the Bruins. It's about Ohio State taking another step late in the season to stay laser focused, to show everybody that they are turning the page and turning the tide to what needs to happen this time of year. Don't have a letdown game. You're going to have me on this show Saturday night after the game, and right there live on the YouTube. I don't know why I'm speaking like that, but if they have a letdown game, and I'm not saying a loss, but I mean Ohio State playing down to the opponent, you're going to get me on the show saying it was a win, it was a comfortable win, but this is not how a team should play late in the season. You should never, ever, ever play down to your opponent. You should make your opponent come up to you. And that's what Ohio State must do tomorrow night when UCLA comes to town. Make UCLA come up to Ohio State's level, which they can't do. Make them play out of their minds. And if you do that, I think you're going to like the results. Speaking of liking the results, some of you might like that Ohio State is tinkering with the potential personnel change late in the season. Is that a wise decision to make? I'll answer that question after the break. This episode is brought to you by DoorDash. Guys, it's almost the weekend. Time to look back and crown this week's MVP on Who Delivered, powered by DoorDash. Just like you can win every Saturday with DoorDash Freaks, saving more every time you order. These players delivered when it mattered most. Let's break it down. For Ohio State, Jermaine Mathews Jr. delivered in a big way. Caleb Downs has been making a lot of big hits over the past couple of weeks. He made a big one this past weekend. He ended up causing a pass breakup on the hit. Jermaine Mathews Jr. was Johnny on the spot, in the right place at the right time. Resulted in an interception. Returned it, got some positive yardage. and gave the ball back to the offense in plus territory. When the pressure was on, Jermaine Mathews Jr. came through. No hesitation, no delay. And if you've been watching week after week, this performance, guys, it wasn't a fluke. Jermaine Mathews Jr. is on a streak. And just like Mathews Jr. delivered for the Buckeyes, DoorDash delivers your Saturdays with DoorDash streaks. You save every Saturday you order, stack it up all season, and you can save up to $250, including $100 in DoorDash credits. Order this Saturday. Keep the streak alive. Fuel your game day. Only with DoorDash. Terms apply. Promo period through November 18th. Thank y'all for tapping and Locked On Buckeyes and making this show your first listen of the day. Now, Locked On is now the number one sports podcast network. And speaking of being number one, there are a lot of people out there that are watching Ohio State's offensive line and thinking something isn't right. Also, the question they're asking when they realize something isn't right, they're asking, what is a solution? Well, a year ago, Ohio State, they started to rotate late in the season. It continued in the college football playoff, and the result was a very strong offensive line rotating between two positions, and the Buckeyes won the national championship. So that was last year's formula. It was not a popular decision to make or one you want to make at all, but with the injuries Ohio State had on the offensive line and the inexperience that was there on the interior, it was a wise decision, and it worked out pretty well for the Buckeyes. And this year, they're having a similar situation, not due to injuries, but simply because the right guard position is a problem. It's not strong, it's weak, and at times it seems like it's getting weaker. And so Ryan Day is tinkering and trying to figure out who to rotate, when to rotate, how many times to rotate certain players in a game, because if you keep Tegra out there for the entire game, it is clear that he cannot last the entire game. Why is the stamina the way that it is? I don't have an answer for that. I wish I did. But if you have to do something this late in the season, you hope that you have the same result you had a year ago. The issue is trying to do something unorthodox 2 years in a row and expecting the same result is it's possible to have the same result, but it might not happen. And I'm not here to be negative. It's just a personal opinion of mine that as an analyst and as a fan in general, just not even being an analyst, I don't like teams that rotate on the offensive line. I don't like two quarterback systems. I was not a fan of Lincoln Kenholz going on the field in the red zone a week ago because I thought that was a time when Julian Sand could get a valuable running experience in the goal line because you might need him to do that on the road. I'm still also a person, get the ball to your running backs. They are the ones that are supposed to be the running backs, running with the ball. Give them the ball and let them scoot. So I understand why that Ryan Day is making some moves that don't normally work, but they work for Ohio State. If you have to do this move right now at the end of the season, you better make sure you're pushing the right buttons. You better. Speaking of being laser focused, these are the times of the season where laser focus is needed, but also rotation can provide some distractions for your players and your coaches and your support staff. And it's going to bring more questions from the media and pressers. Why? Because you're making a decision that's not a move of one that you planned on making. It is one that you're doing because you can't roll out with the same five already and expect a different result, because the result you're getting is one you're going to be getting no matter what. And once you get up against a Michigan team and then maybe Indiana and then whoever you play in the playoff, I don't think Ryan Day is comfortable with their chances to run through the gauntlet over the next few weeks with the offensive line the way that it is. Now, there are certain guys that I think are going to be rotating in here, and I even have a hypothetical that I don't know if it's going to happen, but I think there's a scenario where something else could happen that could be a benefit for the Buckeyes. To me, right now, Tegra's going to start, and I don't believe there's anything that's going to happen to change that. I mean, of course, assuming he's healthy. Josh Padilla, once he gets healthy, once he gets back on the field, Josh Padilla is going to be rotating at guard and getting more reps. If you want to split them 40-20, where Tegra gets 40 and Padilla gets 20, cool. I could get down with that. If you want to do 40 is the cap on Tegra, the next thing you know, Padilla comes in for the next 20 to 30, depending on how many plays you're playing. Great, that's cool. Figure out what Tegra's cap is. Try to figure out why. Is it physical or is it middle? Is it both? And then attack that in the offseason. Gabe Van Sickle got some run last week when Padilla wasn't there. I don't have a lot of confidence and I don't have a thought that he is going to jump Josh Padilla on the depth chart. I don't believe it's going to happen at all. But it's something I've been thinking about recently. Now, Ian Moore played last week in place of Philip Daniels, who was hurt. I don't think Ian Moore's ready for this type of spotlight this late in the season to be a consistent starter because of the issues on the O-line. But what if you put Ian Moore at right tackle, you put Philip Daniels at right guard? It's a little bit late in the year to make two moves on your entire right side, moving a couple players with more than two moves. You're moving a starter, and you're putting in a backup. So that's three moves at two spots. That can be pretty tricky. And as you saw last week, will produce movement up front that caused some confusion by the Buckeyes offense. UCLA is going to try to do everything they can to throw the kitchen sink at the Buckeyes to take them down. Why? Because they have nothing to lose. Nothing at all. You still have an interim coach. Neuheisel has figured out the headset after that first win he had when he started calling plays, being a little sarcastic. But I think Ohio State, in the first half, could figure out the rotation and then roll with that rotation against Rutgers. Figure out who it is, when they're rotating, put it on film, do the same thing against Rutgers. Why am I saying it that way? You don't want to try something new against Michigan. No. This is not the time for you to roll in there, try to reinvent the wheel, and try something different. No. You know the strengths of Ohio State's offense are on the outside. The running game is getting better. It is getting more efficient. I believe some of the issues with the running game are not only because of the running backs. Well, they're not solely because of the running backs. The running backs are getting better. A lot of it is because of the guys up front missing blocks, not getting to the second level, not sealing the outside, not getting around when you pull, things of that nature. But speaking of personnel changes, I don't believe there are going to be any on defense, which is a great thing to say because Ohio State has one of the best defenses in the country. Nobody can really move the ball on them. But this 4 running back rotation thing that Ohio State has going on is not the best for this team late in the season. Nope. You will never, ever get me to come on here and say, oh, 4 running back rotation? Whew, sign me up. I will say not sign me up. Take the pen out of my hand, remove that paper. I am not putting my John Hancock on that decision. Why? Because as a running back, you need reps. You need to get hit. You need to make sure that everything you're doing in the moment is setting you up for success down the road. What do you find from great running backs is that they get into a rhythm early in the game, and the next thing you know, it helps them to bounce off guys, and it helps them to figure out when a guy is leaning to the left or leaning to the right or when someone's getting a little bit tired. It helps them in all those areas. And if I am Bo Jackson, I know you're a true freshman. If I'm Isaiah West, who's also a true freshman, I'm a little bit nervous to go to Coach Locke and say, let me do this. Playing 4 running backs isn't what's best for us. Peoples is getting better. He is not a top 2 running back at Ohio State. Literally in warm-ups during the last game, it was Bo Jackson, 1. CJ Donaldson, 2. Isaiah West, 3. Peoples, 4. Going into the season, Peoples was 1-2. You weren't putting Bo Jackson didn't play against Texas. Isaiah West didn't play against Texas. It was Donaldson and Peoples. Peoples has fallen to 4. It's not because he's not talented. The other guys are better. I think Donaldson's experience at West Virginia kind of props him up above Peoples because I think his body of work and the way he runs is going to be needed for Ohio State down the road. Similar to the online conversation. I am not comfortable rotating with 4 running backs. No. Roll with 2. I would say 3 only. I would say go with 3 running backs if Ohio State was playing faster. With the pace that they play, there's no reason to go outside of Jackson or Donaldson running the ball. If you want to put a third in, cool. Isaiah West, great. He's going to get positive yardage. He is learning very quickly. He's figuring out this college football thing very, very well. I would not say do 4. I think 4 can stunt the offense and hurt the offense. 3 is the most you should play. 2 is the sweet spot. Speaking of a sweet spot, I normally try to find a sweet spot when I am putting together a score prediction for an Ohio State game. And I think I found one when UCLA comes to town. We'll unveil that after the break. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. The NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you miss the start of the game or want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team's making that late push. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Thank you all for tapping Locked On Buckeyes and making this show your first listen of the day and making Locked On the number one sports podcast network. Speaking of number one, Buckeyes are number one in the land in the AP poll, the coaches poll, and the CFP rankings. It's a pretty good place to be. I have no doubt that they're going to be number one at the end of when the rankings come out next Tuesday, because they're going to make light work, quick work of the UCLA Bruins. UCLA can do some things offensively that can confuse the Buckeyes. Their defense is a problem and not a good problem for them. So I think Ohio State's offense could literally have a field day with the pace that they play, the way that Ryan Day wants to move the offense right now. I don't believe the Buckeyes need to turn up the gas and hit the gas during this game to win. But remember, we're not doing things because of who you're playing. You're doing things because of who you are and the point of the season you are currently in. Ohio State's in the fourth quarter of the season, of the regular season. It's crunch time, baby. It's go time. And in the fourth quarter, you ramp things up. The intensity gets a lot higher. You push harder. You may get the coach may yell a little bit louder at you. Why? Because that's what happens late in the season. And at this point in the year, I think Ohio State could literally score 56 points against UCLA, and it wouldn't be a crazy thing to say. But with the pace they're playing, I think they'll go a little bit faster, but not the pace they're going to play against Michigan or in the college football playoff. I see Ohio State winning this game 42-3. And I say 42-3 because there is no reason at all Jaden Fielding should kick a field goal. It's the way this offense should flow. And the fact that this defense got a pick last week, and I guarantee, if I want to make a bold prediction, I'm going to say Ohio State's going to have 2 turnovers, and one of them will be for a touchdown. Because I see a scenario where the opportunistic nature of some of these DBs is going to really be shown up. So it's going to show up in a very big way to where Mathews Jr. might get another pick, or Cade McDonald might strip the running back right there in the hole because of the quickness, the swiftness, the power they play with. This is a different brand of football for UCLA. UCLA is a brand. There are reports right now that by the end of the season, there will be an official announcement that UCLA would not be in the Rose Bowl anymore. They're going to play their football games in SoFi Stadium. You're still going to have the same logistical problems that you had in the Rose Bowl. However, SoFi seats less, so it won't look as empty. But what are you going to find? Same issue. No one's going to play there. And so UCLA has their own distractions from the upper management, the administration of the athletic program. Is that going to impact them on the field? It's possible, but I don't think so. I forget which game I was watching recently of UCLA, but they ended up. Let me get this correct. They ended up doing, I think it was a reverse pass. Reverse pass. I believe they did a reverse on a punt return. And I was noticing that UCLA is not afraid to change things up. It was a punt. That was the one I was thinking about. They did a reverse on a punt. And punt return. And when I saw that, I'm thinking, they're literally just doing some backyard football plays. Whatever you got to do to get the ball on the field, make sure you make that thing happen. The Buckeyes are a team that's been in control of every game. And while they've been in control of every game, there are people out there, Dan Orlovsky being one of them, that have made comments about Ohio State not playing anybody. And when I saw the clip of Dan Orlovsky speaking, I thought about this game and thought about how Ohio State can send a clear message to everybody tomorrow that it's not always about who you're playing, but sometimes it's about how you are playing. And when Ohio State's playing teams like Illinois, Washington, Minnesota, UCLA, Penn State, they're Big Ten teams. That's outside of their control. In the non-conference, they played Texas and beat them and controlled the entire game. So you can't punish them because they played Texas. Well, in Dan Orlovsky's case, he said, have they played another ranked team since Texas? Which they actually had, because Illinois was ranked, and while Washington wasn't ranked, Washington should have been ranked. So in reality, if everything was the way that we thought it was going to go, it could have been four ranked teams. Because, well, I can't go that far because Penn State was bad this year, so I can't even try to like hypothetically make that one work. But Washington should have been ranked. They were playing like a ranked team that should have been in the top 20. That's how they were playing at the point of that game. So on paper, Ohio State played two ranked teams. The most points they gave up in either of those games was 16. 16. One was a 14-7 win. One was a 34, 35, 16. I forget the final score of the Illinois game, but clearly it was no contest at all. Illinois did some trick plays and it did some it brought out some creativity in the goal line to get into the end zone. You can't knock Ohio State for playing Big Ten teams and dominating them and make it seem like a walk in the park because of how talented they are, and that Ryan Day can literally run a very slow offense and the other team have no answer for it. It's not their fault at all. What are they doing? They're playing in a way that even the squad show that aired last night, people are just sitting up here thinking like, UCLA ain't gonna be coming close to Ohio State. I'm picking Ohio State to cover the spread. I know I don't normally talk about this on the show, but some of you guys will be considering going Ohio State minus 31.5. The money, there's really no money there at minus 115, but I can see why. The over-under is set at 47.5, and I'm going under with that. I'm normally an over guy when it comes to Ohio State playing football over the spread, but the issue is their pace of play. Not an issue, it's working for them, but if they were going faster, this spread could be up to 35 to 36 points. And the over could be at 50. I'm laughing because it's reality that Ohio State's pace of play is something Vegas knows about, and they realize we can't make this too high and make it something that people won't bet on. I would even I'm predicting it to Ohio State 42-3. So I guess realistically, if I was a betting man, I will put money on that via our friends at FanDuel. But I am not. That's not my cup of tea. If you are, so be it. Great. Do it responsibly. Don't do anything crazy where your significant other or your parents or your kids or anybody you know will look at you sideways because you're making some very questionable decisions with the finances of the family. I'll leave that there. If that's you in that conversation, so be it. Do everything you do wisely, not just using the resources that our friends at FanDuel provide, but also with your fandom, with a lot of things. Just do things responsibly. I almost had a flashback to some moments in my life where people try to get a little preachy with me, and I'm not going to do that with y'all right now. Not doing that. No, not here on a Friday. It's a feel good Friday. I got Ohio State winning 42-3. I don't think it's going to be close. It could easily be an Ohio State shutout. Because that's how good the defense is, and while the offense of UCLA can do some things to trip up the Buckeyes defense, I truly don't think that's going to happen. Do I think that Nico's helmet will get cracked tomorrow? No, I don't. I think the cold weather in that game impacted that. The way that Cody Simon was already fired up for that game impacted that. There are some hard hitters on this team, but I don't think, if I had to put some money on it, I think that his helmet will be intact with no imperfections after the first offensive play. Now, maybe it'll get cracked down the road, but I don't think it's going to happen on the first play from scrimmage for the UCLA offense. Thank you for making Locked On Buckeyes your first listen today. For your second listen, check out Locked On Big Ten. Craig Sheeman breaks down the most exciting conference in college sports, from the rivalries to the championship and every game in between. Find Locked On Big Ten and Locked On Buckeyes on the YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. You can follow me on any social media platform at jstevens07. Send every email to jstevens317 at gmail.com. This has been Locked On Buckeyes on a Friday. We'll see you tomorrow night after the game.